Our goal is to create this wheel, this animated rotating wheel. Notice that it's rotating clockwise, so that's how we need to rotate our angles. And we have the radius of the wheel is 2 on a slider. The number of spokes is currently 6. And alpha, which is the amount that it's rotated by, is our animated slider. Let's check that the number of spokes changes. So let's click and drag this and we can see that we get more spokes or less spokes. So how do we do this? Get a new file. Don't save. And here we go. First thing we need is to turn off the axes if you have them on. And so now what we're going to do is to take a new point and make a center point. So there's a center point, and we need the 3 sliders. So we need one for the radius of the wheel, and the radius has got to be, let's say, 1 to 4, and we'll leave it at 0, 1. You can change this if you want to. So, and let's move it to a radius of 2 so we can see it a little better here. And now we need a slider for the number of spokes. So a little n for number and a big S for spokes. We'd better have at least 2 spokes. And since the width is by default 100, let's make this 10 more than that. And this is important. Spokes have to be a whole number. You can't have a 0, 1 spokes. So we can have 2 spokes all the way up to 12 by 1. Apply. And let's move that to 6, like it was in our demo. And the last thing is we need an angle slider, which will be our animated slider. So click down here and click on angle. Automatically it goes from 0 to 360. A good rule of thumb is to always make this a multiple. So either make it 90 or make it 180. And animation, we only want the wheel to turn in one direction. We don't want it to go and then come back. So let's pick increasing and apply. And let's move that over a little bit so we can see, because we can't see. And now we'll move these over a little bit here. And let's draw our wheel of radius RW. So we need a wheel whose center point, we need a circle whose center point is here, and radius RW. So we need circle with center and radius. We click on the center and we type in R and a big W, case sensitive, for the radius. And there's our wheel. And we can see it's a radius of 2. Now what we need is a base point that doesn't move on the circle, that everything else will be relative to. So we take our new point and let's put it down at the bottom. And that point stays fixed. And actually the circle doesn't move. It just looks like the circle moves. Only the spokes and the... We need to find our first spoke endpoint. And like I said, it's going to be relative to this fixed point by alpha. So we want to make a angle with given size. So down here, center point, we erase this, delete it, click in alpha. Now, if you forget, it's not a problem. Your wheel will be turning in the wrong direction, and I will show you how to fix that. But let's click clockwise because we said we want it to go clockwise, like the wheel eventually will be going to the right. Okay, so okay. Let's make a spoke so we can see it from A to that point. And let's check that everything works. So we're going to right click here and turn the animation on, and sure enough, it goes around in a clockwise direction and starts over again. Okay, so we don't need to see this point. We don't need to see that angle. So right click, deselect show object, right click, deselect show object. And we have simply the one spoke turning around. Now, if there's 6 spokes, there's 360 degrees. Each spoke will be rotated by 360 divided by the number of spokes. So let's make a variable called angle of the spoke, AS, equals 360. Go over here and get degrees. It's the third one down, you can't see it. Divided by NS. And that's how much AS is 60, because each one of the spokes, we have 6 spokes, 360 degrees. 360 divided by 6 is 60. So each spoke is going to be 60 degrees. So now we want a list or a sequence. So we type in sequence so we can get all of the spoke points all at once. And now what I'm going to do is open this so I can get that algorithm right there. And come down here between the brackets and put that in. And we actually now want to rotate B prime, so put a prime there. We want to rotate it by angle S. I deleted that other stuff. And now let's see how we're going to do our sequence. So we're going to have J to be our counter. So we need to multiply the amount by J. And then we not from 1 to the number of spokes. So it's going to generate NS spoke points, each one at an angle of AS, and then AS plus AS times 2, AS plus AS plus AS, so times 3, etc. Let's see if we get this. And there's all our spoke points, and if we move this way, we get more or less. Now the last thing to do is to make the actual spokes. Again, we're going to use a sequence because that way when we change the number of spokes, the list automatically grows. So now we need another sequence. And now we're generating segments, so we type in segments. And the one point of the segment is always the center point, which is A, so we type in A. And the other one is the elements from this list, these spoke points here. So we type in element. And what list is it? List number 1. And now J is again our counter here. So we want the first element from list 1, the second element from list 1. Now we're after this, the element after the segment. So here's where it comes, and our J is our counter. 1, 2, NS. And that's it. We just turn our animation on, and everything will rotate.